So imagine you are in the Purim story. Okay, imagine the scene in the Purim story. You have Haman, who's the second to king. The king is a ruthless dictator. There's no democracy, there's no trials and court systems. It's just you mess with the king, you're done with. You have Haman, who hates Jews. And he's given basically a free pass to do whatever he wants. And he's got this policy that you walk by him in the street, you better bow down to him. And he's conveniently hanging an idol off of his neck. Okay? Now, the Jews are not in a very healthy space right now, right? That it's not their own country. They have to work with the government, so to speak. So for many Jews, that wasn't a test that they passed in that sense, because it takes in crazy guts to actually refuse to bow down to Haman like that. And at the end of the day, we got to save our lives, right? We got to save ourselves. And then you have Mordechai, the big Rebbe, the big tzaddik, and he is stubborn. He's got some serious chutzpah. He doesn't try to avoid Haman in the streets. He doesn't even try to avoid him. That would be like one level. He has no problem, intentionally walking by him and going to his space and then not bowing down. And that provokes Haman, right? That's what the Purim story is. He does that. Haman's fed up. He goes home. He kvetches to his wife, to his family. We got to get rid of Mordechai and everything that Mordechai represents. So now imagine you're a regular Jew in that era. You have this big tzaddik who's provoking a bear, who's got the power to do some serious damage. What was their attitude on Mordechai? A lot of people were not very happy about what he was doing. There's a time and place to be so firm in your Judaism. This is not the time and this is not the place. And then what happens? Another scene from the Purim story. Achashverosh invites all the residents of Shushan to come to his big party that he's making. Months and months of non-stop party. And he invites the Jews. And the Jews come. What would you do if you were a Jew there? Would you not come? You have a dictator who can kill you in 1 second, who's not very favorable to you. You know that his second in command hates the Jews, and they invite you to come. It wouldn't be very strategic or smart for you to refuse that invitation. I mean, you got to maintain the peace. So many people went to that party and ultimately sinned at that party, whether that was through non-kosher food or non-kosher environment or whatever it was. And Mordechai, the big tzaddik, is getting up and saying, no, don't go. And now he probably comes off as quite the kanai, right? Quite the radical, ultra Rebbe, Orthodox Rebbe, who's like, he's got to go and he has to refuse to bow down, and he's telling everybody not to go to the party. Like, we got a relationship with the government that we need to maintain here. So many people thought that Mordechai was the reason for the Purim decree. The decree on the Jewish people was because he had to be so Jewish in a very inconvenient time and place. That's why the decree happened. The rest of the people are trying to save us from a decree. Bow down to Haman so you won't get the decree. Go to the party so you won't get a decree that's going to destroy the Jewish people. And that's how it looks. That's the chitzonius. The external of the story is exactly that. That's the sequence of events, exactly that. But we're taught that in the pnimius of it, in the essence of it, it's exactly the opposite. The decree on the Jewish people was because they bended and went to that party. And the rescue of the Jewish people was in the merit of Mordechai, who refused to bow down. Totally the opposite. So what is this midah that Mordechai is using? What is this, what was his power? So every Yom Tov, every single Jewish holiday around the year has a special energy in it. And this energy is baked into the essence of the day. It is relived every year. This is what Hashem infused into that calendar day, but it's also affected by the event. Every holiday has an event. Purim's got the Purim story, Hanukkah's got the Hanukkah story, and Pesach has, leaving Mitzrayim, etc. So in every single Yom Tov, there's an energy that is baked within the day, and that's something we could tap into. Now, this is very important to look into this, because if you if you miss this, you're missing a golden opportunity. It's not about living that energy during that day. Okay, it's going to come that day. It's going to be that holiday. I'm gonna relive this, and then next day, Yom Tov is over. I go back to life. No, that is the day when you fill up your tank on that midah, and that will take you to the next year. That's meant to last an entire year. That doesn't disappear the morning after. The midah of Purim is netzach. The midah of Purim is netzach. The midah of Mordechai is netzach. Netzach means to win, victory. Like you might have heard the expression, didan netzach, right? We've won. Netzach is victory. Netzach comes from the pasuk in Megillah, Mordechai la yichra v'la yishtachava. Mordechai did not kneel and did not bow down to Haman. That is, essentially what that is holy stubbornness, says B'yam Darkecha. Holy stubbornness. Holy chutzpah. We know chutzpah is a Jewish midah, right? That much we know. This is the holiest of chutzpah. This is the chutzpah to be able to say no to the influences around you for the sake of Hashem. This is what Mordechai did in the most powerful level. But that's really hard to do because everything about us and everything within us is a contradiction to that. We ourselves have a mission in this world. Our mission in this world is to find Hashem in the darkest of places when he's the most concealed and bring out these sparks of holiness. L'sakein olam b'malchus shakai, to bring perfection to the world through the kingship of Hashem. And that involves going to places where Hashem is concealed and finding Hashem. And finding Hashem and showing the world that the whole world is only powered by Hashem. So if you internalize this to enough of a degree, this concept, Ein Eid Movade, there's only Hashem in this world, then eventually this brings a very strong perspective that you have on the whole world, and that is everything is from Hashem. So some things might happen, and they might look like they're not from Hashem, but that's just a cover-up. I'm going to reveal that cover-up. So events happen around us, and it screams the opposite of that. And Netzach is the power to break the status quo. Break your status quo. Now, your status quo is within you because your own self tells you, this is what kind of Jew I am. This is what kind of Jew I've always been. If you want to break to the next level, you need to push past that status quo. We love status quo. It's the greatest feeling in the world is just chill. You just maintain, your momentum, whatever is going on, and just kind of good and all. And that's like the natural default way of Jewish life. Netzach is the ability to push past that. That's what Netzach is. That's what Mordechai taught us. So we have our own limitations, and certainly society puts limitations on us. Everything around us says, this is the way we do things. You got to be normal. You don't want to do anything radical, right? You don't want to mess. You don't want to break the balance. Netzach is the ability to push past that, to break out of that, and say no. You know why? Because I'm on a mission of Hashem. That means my work, revealing Hashem in this world, is a shlichus from Hashem. I'm like an arm of Hashem. I'm like a pipe. I'm a tziner. I'm just taking godliness and bringing it out. It's not about me. If it's not about you, there's nothing to be scared of. So now you come to something. You got a scene in front of you. And, okay, let's take the Purim story, okay? Here's the deal. The Jews at that time were not terrible people. They didn't hate Hashem, God forbid, certainly not. But the time came, and it's like, okay, listen, we love you, Hashem, but right now, this is a very dangerous situation. And we're gonna have to take a quick break from that, just right now, because it's too dangerous to avoid bowing down to Haman, or it's too dangerous to not go to that party. We need to go to that party. So it's almost like Hashem, hold on a minute. We're gonna come back, but right now we need to preserve this. If you realize that everything is Hashem and you're a messenger of Hashem, then the way to get through that situation is to do the will of Hashem. So a person who doesn't live this feeling, in the depth of their neshama, is going to say, Hashem, I want to save the Jewish people from a decree, so I'm going to need to do this little thing. I'm going to need to bow, even to somebody who's wearing an idol, because I want to save the Jewish people. Somebody who has the power of Netzach says, Hashem, I want to save the Jewish people, so I'm not going to bow to that idol, no matter how dangerous it is. You hear the difference? That's what Mordechai did. Mordechai had the power of Netzach, and that made him have the ability to do that no matter what, no matter how risky it seemed. He knows he's doing it for Hashem. If you're doing it for Hashem, nothing in the world will scare you. Nothing in the world will scare you. And the only one point that you have to be very careful about is not to let your character trait of Netzach stab itself in the back. You know how that would happen? If you think it's all about you. If you think that you're so mighty, that you have the power to push past this, influence and do the right thing, then that's the exact opposite of Netzach. Netzach means you're using the power of Hashem. You're recognizing that Hashem will get you through this. Trust me, Mordechai did not have the power to avoid a decree or to save the entire Jewish people from the decree. It's not his self. It's his being a messenger of Hashem to say, no matter what's going on, I'm going to be stubborn about this. I'm going to have holy Jewish chutzpah, and I'm going to do the right thing for Hashem. That's what made him have the midah of Netzach. So you have to be careful that Netzach doesn't go so far that it becomes all about you. It has to stay all about Hashem, all about you doing the work of Hashem. You do the work of Hashem, you're invincible. Nothing can get past you. But that's the point, that nothing, you can't put one over on Hashem. Anything that happens to you is from Hashem. Any challenge you have is from Hashem. So the reaction is not going to be, okay, Hashem, I want to connect to you. I have this challenge, so I need to step away from you and deal with this. It's like, no, exactly that is going to be what's going to bring you closer to me. You know what I think we need the midah of Netzach for? In my experience of Purim, in my life so far, you need to pull the card of Netzach to have a holy Purim. Because everything about Purim, in many, many places, screams external, chitzonius. Purim is so flashy and so fun, and costumes and drinking and party and themes and all these things, right? That's where you need to pull out your Netzach. And it's ironic because that's where you fill up your Netzach tank. Now we want to fill up Netzach tank for our entire year. In order to do that, we need to say, okay, no, this Purim, I'm not going to get sidetracked by all the flashy fun. I'm going to dive into the essence of what this day really is about. And all the rituals we do are there to help us. But it's very easy for them to distract us. But if we have our mindset right, which is what we're trying to set ourselves up for, then all those tools will be used to bring this out more and more and more. And then we fill up our Netzach tank. This is not about having a holy Purim. This is about having a holy year. God knows how much we need Netzach. How many ceilings are in our lives that we put on ourselves, that people around us put on ourselves. There's so many limitations. Netzach is, I don't care. I'm going to have holy chutzpah. To heck with you, Yetzer Hara. To heck with you, my own internal self that thinks that this is what I can do. To heck with you, my family and friends and neighbors and community that think this is the normal way to do this. Now I'm going to pull out Netzach, and I'm gonna chase my mission with Hashem, with everything I've got. Holy chutzpah, the greatest chutzpah. Maybe this is why we have chutzpah. This is a natural midah of the Jewish people. This is what it's for. Holy chutzpah. Have a holy chutzpah dikapur.